your tanks.
Hey guys, what's up? Good evening. That's right, it's evening, no longer mornings anymore on our live streams. We got a really good stream for you guys tonight. I know it's Monday Night Football, so all you people that are watching Monday Night Football, sorry. That's all I can say. It's going to be a Q&A type format, so what we're going to have here is I'm going to ask that people ask questions in the chat because that's how we're going to go about this. I don't really have any questions lined up for these guys. And we are giving away two prizes for two winners tonight. I have some used Aquamaxx Sigma reactors that I'm going to be giving away. So, without further ado, we're going to get this started. So, I would like to welcome in my two good friends, Deven from ReefDudes and Mr. Aaron from Aaron. Right?
It's Aaron from Aaron. Welcome.
Hey, Deven. Hey, Derek.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Let's go, boys.
So it's pretty late over there, huh, Aaron? What is it, like 11 o'clock?
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock, but it's late.
All right, so let's try to keep them up,
Sounds
guys. Let's keep them up. So how you folks, how are things going, Aaron? We were on our stream, what, 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? How's the tank going?
Everything's going good. The Mastertronic's set up now and running great. Haven't had any issues with it. When I originally started it up, I had a connection error, and I contacted support, and they got with me within like 20 minutes. So after that, I've not had another hiccup from it. So it's working great. I know that's on your mind right now.
Yeah, it's amazing, guys. We have two guys that have Mastertronics and one that doesn't. Guess who the one that doesn't is?
Who? I have two. Does that make up?
Oh.
Deven rubbed it in.
Couldn't help myself, sorry.
So, with that being said, my two reef bots, one of them doesn't even connect to the internet anymore. And then the other one, I don't know what's going on with it. I don't get any notifications ever from it again. So, if anybody wants to give me a Mastertronic, just let me know.
Excellent.
You having that problem, Deven? I'm not.
No, no issues. Mine was great. Other than okay, so the reef bot, I had an actuator die, which I had to replace, so that sucked. But aside from that, it was great.
Yeah, he didn't have any issues. I think he's because in Canada.
Yeah. Okay, Lee, why don't you defer your ozone? Does it not keep on going on or off overnight? My ozone only turns on from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. or 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. So it's on in the middle of the night, and it only turns on if my skimmer's on and if it's less than 410 ORP. So there's lots of stuff to kind of keep it in check.
Yeah, I remember you telling me you do. I run ozone with an ORP probe, and I've been doing that for years. Both of my tanks run on ORP, and one of mine is such a small amount that I think it just runs 24/7 most of the time. And I've never seen any ill effects with the way I run it. But I did try to run it just at night, looking at how you did it, and I didn't see a difference. So I just kept doing it the way I was always doing it, and it's been really good for me.
Yeah, that's fair. I mainly just do it for water clarity, right? So, and I don't know how, in theory, ozone's not the best for you, so that's kind of my rationale to doing it in the middle of the night.
Right.
Versus all day when I'm up and around. If I'm in bed, other end of the hall, away from the tank, it's not really an issue, right?
Yeah. Hey, Aaron, what happened to your sunglasses? I thought we were all doing sunglasses, except for me. I'm not allowed to wear glasses. Aaron is from Florida, so he's out there. Let's see. All right, so that was a good first question. Let's see. I saw one or two questions up here. We got the pro. We got the pro on here, so I got to be careful.
Yeah, if your ozone's clicking on and off because you're pinging that ORP point, I would just turn down your ozone generator so it's not running as much. That way it just stays on.
Yeah, I would do, Lee, what do you think, 25? A buffer of 25? I mean, mine does 300
I
to
don't know. I'll
350.
turn the dial down.
Yeah, that's a good idea too.
I don't pay attention with the numbers. Turn down a little bit so it's not pegging that ORP point.
Yeah.
The thing with ozone, you want to find just enough, right? You don't want to overdo it because then it's safer for everything, basically.
Mm-hmm. So J Fusion had a good question here, and I think I'm going to direct this at Aaron. Tips for quarantining copper band butterfly fish.
Probably chloroquine. I believe that's what most people are using now is chloroquine. If you go to Humble Fish speaks about using what is it? He's using hydrogen peroxide, but there's something else that we're using too. It's something that we kind of developed here at my house and then moved on to, they started doing studies on it. It's working really well, but it's gentle on the fish and it's a short quarantine. Problem with copper bands is feeding them. It's not just the quarantine itself, but getting them to feed. If I were to start, depends where I got it from. If it was already feeding, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But if I was going to bring one in, I would try to make sure I could get a hold of live blackworms locally.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of your things. If they're not feeding, then that's one of the few things you'll get them started on.
Yeah, copper bands are tough to feed. Let's see.
Yeah,
Other than clarity and ORP value, what is the benefit of ozone? I would have to say.
Smells.
Yeah, I mean it's kind
if
of
your tank
a.
Smells fishy. It's gonna help reduce orders.
Yeah, I mean it's
like
kind of
a
yeah, it's kind of a replacement for carbon essentially, but it's not in a way also. I mean I run carbon also. Yeah. Let's see. There's another good question here. New calc reactor. What is the best pump to use with it? I use a Camor pump with mine, constant duty pump. You could just drip it with a drip bottle on top of the tank. You can go real simple. Calc reactors typically most of them are gravity fed, so you could just sit it right over your sump and just let it drip. And I mean, you probably still need a feed pump. But that's how I do it. I just do it with a Camor pump.
Yep. All right. So Jake Speed. Deven, great video on leak detector. Thank you. How many do you run on your setup looking at to configure a leak detector rope thing you showed? Okay. Yeah. So I have 3 different spots. I'm using the Apex one, and I have the rope one I use in my frag tank. Which, yeah, the rope you can wrap around everywhere. So super cool for that design.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was laughing because as I was filming, I was like, oh, I should probably have one here because this is leaked before. I should have one here too because this is a possible spot. So I want to add probably 2 more spots just to cover the bases.
I love those things.
Are you using the hydros?
On one tank. I have an Apex, a Hydros, and a GHL. I got the full controller spectrum.
Okay, cool. I run Hydros growth leak sensors on mine.
Yeah.
Gary's asking, this is an interesting one. I have an answer. I get a lot of confusion about what salt to start with on his 50-gallon tank. What do you recommend for stability in the future? Salt's always a heated question with a lot of people, right? I mean, everyone has their own salt.
Pick any salt you want to start out. It will make no difference when you're starting out. Don't even worry about it. Whatever one's on sale, go for it.
Yeah, I would agree.
You can always dose it up when you're ready for coral.
I would totally agree.
But even you're not, if you don't have coral and stuff consuming, elk and calcium and everything, it's not going to make a difference. You're going to be doing a bunch of water changes before you even get to that point. So just run anything, buy whatever's on sale to start your tank. Once you get into coral, then pick whatever parameters you want to run at. Pick a salt that matches whatever elk level, and then I'd stick to that.
Yeah, that's how I do it. I run Tropic Marin because it has the same levels of my tank, so that it keeps it stable whenever I do a water change. And it's very simple to do it that way. Philly Reefer. It's a decent question. I kind of going to talk about this in my next video, but he's saying, what is my expectation or our expectation for Apex? should we expect new innovation within a year from them? That's what I believe he said. I really want them to make those. I really want them to make those TDS meters. I mean, I've been asking for that for I don't know how many years. If they come out with some type of, Mastertronic type system, I mean, I would think that would be a good, a big seller. I mean, I don't know what other innovation that I've thought of that I want them to come out with. But those are my
It would be
two.
nice if I would appreciate if they would integrate so that they could pull in the readings from the Alcatronic and Mastertronic.
I think that would be a big thing too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, of
AP.
course, I would have to get a Mastertronic, and
You would.
So-
Yes.
Well, I hear they got a lot shipping next year.
Hopefully.
okay, we'll see. I run Poseidon 200. Is that much better than the cheaper ones? Lee, I will tell you, and I think we all probably have different of opinions, and I don't know what they sell up in Canada, but here, I use a light emitted ozone. I've always used a light emitted ozone. I think, Deven, don't you use a Corona discharge unit?
I do. I have a cheap China one as well as the Poseidon 200.
Okay.
I have not used the UV light based ones. Mainly the Corona discharge. I was like, oh, I never have to replace a bulb and it's less power. So that's kind of why I went that route.
Yeah, so I feel the opposite way. I feel I don't like to have to dry the air. At least here in Arizona, we have such dry air that it really doesn't matter too much. But I did used to have Red Sea, I think is the oxidizer or whatever they made a long time ago, and I had to change those beads like nonstop, and I couldn't deal with it. So I just got the light one, and you do have to replace the bulb quite often. But to answer your question, Lee, Aquamaxx makes a fantastic light emitting one. It's a very small unit too, and that's the one I would recommend if you're going to go with the light route. The Poseidon is an expensive product, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking up BRS's right now. $244, so it's not cheap.
Yeah.
Now,
hey, Guy, what's up, Guy? Hey, other guy. Sorry, I had to say something.
It's the other guy.
Okay.
That's the wrong Aaron he's thinking of.
So if you're in super humid spot, you might need a dryer. I did the beads for a while, and putting it in the oven got old after a while, so I quit doing it. But when I had the Poseidon people on my live stream, I asked them about it, and basically they said if you don't have a dryer, you might get a bit of a buildup of not citric acid, whatever it is inside. Sulfuric acid, whatever. But basically, you could just use a syringe and force RODI water through it once every 6 or 8 months, just to flush that out,
right?
And then make sure you dry it out after that. But that was basically all you really had to do if you didn't run a dryer. So it didn't seem like that big of a deal. Not that I've done it yet, but I probably should.
Yeah, I don't know. When I had the Red Sea, I never had a Poseidon, so that could be an issue. I had the Red Sea. It wasn't very powerful, and I would have trouble getting the ORP up with it. But yeah, once I got that light, it was crazy how fast it fixed it for me. But I think that's a personal opinion, which route you go. I don't think either one is bad. I like doing the light because I think it's just easier for me, and there's not much setup to it. You just plug it in and you're done. Lucas, I'm not going to really talk about that. I don't really. He's asking about this, Bertram Capital buying up everybody.
I got a message from an insider this week that said that they have bought up EOTech, Innovative Marine, and they're working out a deal with Worldwide Coral and SDC for the livestock side of it. So Bertram Capital is really trying to buy up a lot of the industry right now.
I wonder if it's ran by someone on the board that has a reef tank. He's like, yeah, get them all.
I know, right?
Right, some guy sitting there with pockets. Like, I want all this in my store.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's see. Matt CS48A asks, one sky seems too small for 48 by 24 tank, but 2 seems like too much. I will tell you that I have 2 on my 48-inch tank. and I think 2 is perfect. In terms of
They can be adjusted.
yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. You can really never have too many LED panels because you can always lower the brightness. You could have you can have 6 skies on your tank and you could lower them all, right? But I think 2 would be perfect for you, because that's what I have. I have 2 on my 48. Um, let's
Yeah, you've
see.
seen my lights. I have a huge panel over mine.
Right,
It just the more lights you have, the less shadowing down the road, anyways.
right.
Yeah. What do you rock for later?
I have 4 reef breeders, and then I have one reef breeder UV strip.
He's got the Logan special, right?
Nice.
And
Logan, is that his name?
Yeah. Yeah.
yep, Logan. But I've
Yep.
always
That's the
had
Logan
luck with
specials.
them. I don't buy for name. They've always worked for me. I've had tremendous growth in color, so I stick with them.
Yeah,
And the service is
Nice.
second to none when it comes to lights.
I agree.
Yeah. No, he has awesome service. He's like out there for anybody.
So Jake Speed's
Yep.
asking about Cato growing or Cato dying. Um, I think Deven will be good to talk about this because I have never had success growing Cato. I
I
know
have a
Deven
very
has.
full refugium right now. I do absolutely nothing for it. I run the Prime Fuge, which grows it very well. The one thing I do is dose iron, and molybdenum, whatever. So I do the Brightwell Kato grow, and that is iron, molybdenum, something else. But basically, if you are iron deficient, you could be stunting the growth rate.
Which
So
most
it's
tanks
either
are.
that. Yeah, most tanks are. So it's either that, so you're not feeding those nutrients to the algae, or you just don't have nitrates and phosphates to feed it. It's generally one of the two. But I find most people's grow like crazy for 4 or 5 months, and then all of a sudden it stops growing, and it's usually because they depleted all the iron or they're not dosing to the tank. So something like Kato Grow will help do this, solve that for you.
Yeah, Jake had mentioned due to a light switch. Um, I don't know. I mean, the Neptune grow is. I mean, they're all really good at growing
They're
Cato.
all running
So
the same spectrum, really.
yeah. So I don't know if it's your light, Jake. I highly doubt it's your light. It's possible that
What is he using
maybe
for light?
he said he switched from a Kessel H382 or 89 to a grow. So he went from that light to
That's
a Neptune.
well, okay. That is a big difference in light output. I don't know how high you're running that Kessel H380, but that's like an intense light.
All right, I was just
So
yeah, that's what I
if
was
you're
about to say
running
too.
that on full, going down to the grow, that's a lot less power being put into your refugium.
Hmm.
So the H380 is a 90-watt light.
I might say, Jake, I don't know your setup there, but maybe put the grow closer. I don't know if you mounted it similarly to where the Kessel was. Maybe if you can get the grow closer, maybe you'll have better success.
Well, being a lower wattage light, if he's getting yellow on top, it should still grow no matter what the wattage is on top, but you get yellowing on the bottom. So if he's getting yellowing on top with a lower wattage light, I would say it's probably the iron. Because
Okay.
yeah, every tank I've ever really tested that can't grow Chaeto, every one of them's been low on iron. We put iron in it, like Deven was saying, and that normally fixes the issue on growing Chaeto.
Right. Sean Nelson. Wow. He's not going to like my answer to this, but I'll let you guys answer it first. What is everyone's preferred method to aptasia control? Nudies are out because of my 6-line RAS. So I'll let you guys go first, and then I'll tell you my way of doing it.
So the blah blah blah. Peppermint shrimp works well if you want something to hunt it, right? If you're successful with them, a copper band also works very well. I have one in my big tank, and there's no aptasia I can find. I don't have a copper band in my frag tank. There's also aptasia, so there's that. Peppermint shrimp can work well, but if they're hungry, they can be opportunistic and eat the corals. If you want to manually attack them, F aptasia, I find that one works well, or just like cover them in super glue and make them a little super glue too, so they can't spread.
Aaron, what do you
Yeah,
think?
I kind of agree with him. Peppermint shrimp, they're kind of a toss up, but normally they do pretty well. If you feed your tank enough, if you're feeding 2 or 3 times a day some meaty foods, then they're normally fine. They won't bother your coral. I'm a big fan of Aptasia eating filefish. Again, you got to watch them. If you're feeding enough food and they get used to your food, they'll eat Aptasia as a snack, but your meaty foods will be their main food. Copper bands, they're kind of a 50-50 as well. It all depends on what each and every one of these are feeding, but I guess the key is as long as you're already feeding your tank enough meaty foods and they get familiar with those, normally they'll leave your other coral alone, and Aptasia end up being a snack when they're bored. Kind of like when you're watching your tanks go around and pick at nori or either nori or algae throughout your tank throughout the day. That's kind of the way they work with Aptasia. But as long as they got food going in their bellies, they normally don't mess with your coral. But that's not to say you won't find some that will. I typically like if you get a real true peppermint shrimp and normally a filefish for most tanks, just because copper bands can be somewhat tough for most people.
Yeah, so my opinion on it,
filefish.
and I've mentioned this in the past, and like I said, I don't know if anybody's going to like this answer, but I buy my coral from the same place. I don't buy it from anywhere else. I don't ever buy it from anywhere else. If I go to a fish store here locally and I see a cool coral, I don't buy it. Again, if you're quarantining your coral, you could probably get away with not having Aptasia in your tank either. But in terms of getting rid of it when you have it, I have had I think one or two Aptasias in my tank in the, 15 years I've had reef tanks. And I used super glue, like Deven said, that takes care of them right away. Again, if you only have one or two, it's easy, but if you have a ton, it can take some time, and then I recommend just removing the whole rock and then, killing the rock. I mean, there's really not much more you can do because it's just going to spread like wildfire. But that's my opinion on Aptasia. Let's see. Do you guys recommend? Oh, I kind of mentioned that a little bit. You could. I don't know. Do you guys ever quarantine coral before you put it in your DT? I've never done that. But again, I buy all my coral from the same place, so I just trust them.
I dip it.
Yeah, I dip mine.
Yep, I double dip. I've got a frag tank that's connected to my display. Yeah. I've got a frag tank connected to my display that I put them in to observe them for a little before they go into display. That's not to say things can't spread, but I do have UV running between the two, just in case something is in there. But yeah, I double dip them, and then I'm just cautious with them. Where before I used to run a frag tank and quarantine for 3 months before they went in the tank.
Mm-hmm. And kind of people are asking about vermitid snails, and Aaron knows I had a pretty big outbreak of vermitid snails. I got rid of my vermitid snails by doing two things. I got a Cory wrasse. That took care of them, most of them, pretty quickly. What I like to do with them is glue the top of them and then take pliers and just crush them. And that's how I get rid of them. But yeah, once I got that yellow Cory wrasse, they started disappearing. Those guys just like to eat just about everything. So that's how I got rid of them.
Yellow Cory? Yellow chorus?
Yeah, yellow Cory wrasse, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, chorus, Cory.
Yeah, yeah.
Siche, Sice,
I'm a tweezer
the same
guy.
thing.
If you have sand in your tank, you can kind of stir it up and get that detritus going, and you'll see them put their little webs out. I had one tank that got quite a few in it, and I used to do it every Sunday night. My daughter and I would go stir up the tank a little bit so that detritus got around. And as soon as they set their webs out, you see where nearly all of them are. Yep. After 2 or 3 weeks of that and going in there with tweezers and just crushing them, I mean, we literally went from probably close to 100 in the tank that came from nowhere to never sell anymore. Yep. But yeah, I mean, I've got a chorus wrasse. I've always had a chorus wrasse in my tanks. In the last tank, it didn't do any good for them. Some people say to super glue the top. What I've seen in that is they'll actually burr through the side and create a new, kind of snout to it. So, the regular just super glue on top doesn't always work, but crushing them does.
Yeah, you gotta get them to go inside and then just kill them all. That's what I do. It's fun to kill them because they suck. Is adding beneficial bacteria products to your reef tank every week beneficial? Someone asked. I can tell you from my experience, when I was having dino issues, I started adding bacteria every week, and my dinos started to disappear after like a couple weeks, and I haven't seen them since. If you have beneficial bacteria in your tank competing with the dinos and all the other, cyano and all that stuff, then it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to come up, because you're going to have all the beneficial bacteria. That's my opinion. That's how I got rid of my dinos. I mean, it took a while, but there she goes. What do you guys think about beneficial
Personally,
bacteria?
uh, once your tank's established, well, everybody knows. I don't know if every one of the viewers know, but my tank's been up for 8 months now and never had a water change. I've actually never done anything to it. So if you establish your bacteria in the beginning of your tank, you should really not have to ever add bacteria to it because it will be producing as long as you have fish. Now, if you don't have fish, you may want to add bacteria once in a while for it to get in there because you may not have enough decomposers in the tank, or if you feed too low, your bacteria count might go low. But typically, I don't see any reason for it unless you start seeing ammonia. Ammonia is the only reason. If I start seeing nitrites, might be the only reason I'd add bacteria once a tank is actually
Yeah.
established.
Yeah, I personally I found that the beneficial bacteria has aided in preventing dinos, at least in my tank. And again, I had dinos. But I see your point. If you didn't have dinos in the first place, then what's the benefit at that point, right? um, but mine are kind of
Yep.
gone now because I've been doing it, Let's see. And what was it? Fido. That's the other thing. Dosing Fido, that has been great because I don't know, I forgot what it is, but was it the diatoms eat the Fido or something, and the diatoms eat the dinos? I don't know. I forget all that.
Circle of life. Let's keep the tank in balance and avoid the whole hassle.
That's true. Now, don't you have Aptasia in your tank?
Do I?
Yeah.
My frag tank, I sure do. Not my big
Yeah.
tank. My frag tank, I got tons.
Yeah.
Armies in there. Armies.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're anemones. He's got a tank full of anemones.
That's right.
Yeah, class enemies. High value stuff.
Let's see. Any other good questions here? Dr. Tim has really focused on how to overskim to remove the beneficial bacteria. Yeah, you're not supposed to run your skimmer when you add beneficial bacteria. You're supposed to turn your skimmer off. So, yeah, that would definitely get rid of them. Gulf Coast Reefer
Well,
has a
it does
wonderful
because it's
question.
also removing the food.
Yeah.
What's that?
Gulf Coast Reefer, best way to grow Fido at home. I have a video on how I grow Fido, and I think it's the easiest and the greatest product out there for growing Fido. And it's
Imagine that.
Poseidon Reef Systems. And if you go to their website, my video is on there too about it. And I love it. I use it every week, man. I dose it with my dose, and it's so easy to grow Fido, and it's so easy to grow copepods with it. And it's not super expensive, if I recall. The system was like $70 or something, Aaron. I don't remember.
No, it's 200 for the system for both. I
Oh,
think one container's $100.
oh okay. Uh,
It's pretty easy too. Like you basically just need a sterile container and a light. Like you can grow it in almost anything. They do have a nice kit, but if you're in a
yeah,
pinch, you can dollar store up a big jar and do it pretty easily.
yeah. Manny's
Being sterile is
Reef.
the most important thing.
Manny's Reef says
Yeah.
you didn't understand the comment. Are you saying that people in general are over skimming and that's removing beneficial bacteria as a general statement? Because again, I would agree with you on that. But if we're just discussing dosing beneficial bacteria, then yeah, you shouldn't turn your skimmer on. But if you're saying beneficial bacteria is going away because we're over skimming, that's definitely a possibility. Um,
Yeah, see, I
Yeah.
think what
And
he's saying is
anything
we're
that's
over
in the water
skimming and
column.
taking out food that feeds bacteria. Oh,
oh.
sorry, Devin.
Mhm.
But
No, go
if
for it.
people over skim, they take out the food that feeds your bacteria. I could understand that. But I'm a proponent of always leaving your skimmer running, just running it low to where it's not always skimming. That way, if you ever had an emergency or something happens in your tank, your skimmer can still pull that out because it's running. Not to mention the oxygen level of it that helps keep your pH up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot of people wet skim too much. I run my skim; it looks like coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never run without a skimmer. I keep my nutrients pretty decent. And if my nutrients do start getting low, then it tells me my skimmer's skimming too much. And I'll turn my skimmer down on the water column on it.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so great about DC skimmers. You can adjust them. That's
Right.
why they're becoming so popular because people are over skimming. You know. Let's see. Yeah, Gulf Coast Reefer, man. Fido is expensive, and when you find out how easy it is to make, you're gonna be like, "Wow, why am I spending so much money on Fido?" Because it's really quite simple to make. Um,
Yeah, it's a little bit of a pain, but it's not hard.
yeah. Well, I think the Poseidon system makes it super easy. Um, I mean, I just every week I just change it out, and it's very simple. Um, let's see what is it ever. Yeah, this is a tough one, Gary. Gary's asking, what is the number one way to control algae blooms? Well, algae blooms are typically caused by too many nutrients. Am I mistaken in that assumption?
It will kill any free-floating algae, which is what your bloom is, or bacteria. So you can skim it out, you can UV it out.
Yeah.
If it's an algae bloom, you're looking at a green bloom, but most people have what's a bacterial bloom, which means a portion of your bacteria in your rock, either anaerobic or aerobic, has died. So, all you want to do is somehow kill that bacteria so that it starts growing back in your rocks again because you had a boost of nutrients because some kind of shock happened to the tank. Like I said, I think someone who posted on there, I don't know. Okay, our stream's still going. UV is normally the easiest way because it kills everything in the water column.
Yeah, or, do something stupid like I did and take your fuel pump out of your tank, out of your car, and fuel go all over the place in your garage, and then those fumes go into your fish tank, and then your fish tank get a bacterial bloom. So that can happen. So don't do that. Yeah, that's what happened. I'm not joking. Luckily, I didn't lose anything. Let's see. When should Fido be dosed? I got to tell you, Philly, I dose my Fido right into the display tank. I don't dose it into the sump. I dose it right into the display. And I do it all day. I do it like every hour I'm dosing. So, I mean, as long as you're not running it right into your skimmer or right into, something that's going to get rid of it, then just I dose it right into a power head. Then it goes into the tank. That's what I do.
Perfect. Does the job.
Hey, we lost Aaron. Or that guy. We lost that guy.
His hair's got much more lush since he disappeared.
I know. Look at that. Why does it have a female for him? That's weird. What if let's see, if I make guest, how do I make guest 2 a male? I don't think I can. That's weird.
Could be a guy with long hair.
We'll just have to wait for him to come back. Let's see. Dr. Tim says skimmer pulls out bacteria. Absolutely. I mean, that's absolutely true. So, hey, he's
Hey, I'm
back.
back. Something happened with my internet.
Yeah, it's funny. Everybody was laughing that we had my other friend Aaron on last week, and they were like,
Oh,
"No, the wrong Aaron." That was pretty funny.
he'd be a treat with Deven, wouldn't he? Oh my gosh.
Oh, I don't even want to know what that would be like. Anyway, I know Lee's asking if you guys are going to get skies. I can guarantee you that Devin will not be getting a sky. Aaron, when his reef breeders
No,
break, maybe, but
they won't
highly
break.
doubt it.
Yeah, that's the problem. They'll never
Yeah.
break. They're just durable, and the service is ridiculous on them. So
Well, Lee, I have some
Yeah.
skies, so if you want some, just let me know because I have some.
Yeah. I
Um,
already have Radeon, so I already have awesome lights, so I can't really justify buying a Sky
I
when I
know.
already have amazing lights. So
I agree. He's not anti-Sky, Lee. He's just. I think he said
I'm
exactly what he said.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not against it, but why would I spend money when I already have like a top tier light? Like it doesn't make sense.
right. And I agree with you completely.
right.
Yeah.
See, for me, it was an
See,
upgrade.
I'm on the boat. As long as
Yeah.
you have 3 LEDs for your blue channels, you're giving pretty much the same light from anything. It's just how it's used or how it's diffused. So, I mean, Cree is proven to be
Yeah.
a really strong, reliable LED diode. So, I mean, if your light is using Cree blues, it should be good.
Yeah. Well, Lee, I
And
I will
with
tell you. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Devin.
I was gonna say with my tank too, I have 5 XR15s on a 6 foot tank. Like I have a blanket of light. Like
Right.
it's a lot of light already. So I just have zero justification to change it because it's working awesome.
Yeah. So Lee, you got to realize I went from G4s to Skies, but I also had to have T5s um, in order to get the supplementation with the G4s for my tank. Um, so when I got the Sky,
Did
which is a much bigger light, I was able to fill the whole tank. And of course, I got one for free. Basically, I mean, I say I didn't really get it for free, but I got to test it. So I was like, I'm getting one for free. They're great lights, so I'm just going to use them. But I did upgrade from G4s, and I will tell you, Lee. For me, I like the fact that if one of the lights go out, it alerts me. I find that to be good, especially when I'm on vacation or something. But again, these are nitpicky little things that I like as an automation guy. But for an average Joe, again, if you have a G5 or even a Philips Coral Care or any of the newer lights out there, there's no reason to replace the Sky with it. I mean, that's my opinion.
yeah,
Um,
if you have like some super old school light and you're upgrading anyway, I mean, yeah, it's definitely consideration, right? But if you have something newer,
right.
why spend a bunch of money if you already have a good light? I mean, if you just want to spend money, I mean, have at her. But just in general, Derek, did you
Yeah,
have 15s or 30s for G4s?
30s, two 30s.
Okay, okay.
Um, but I remember specifically that I was getting a lot of hot spots in the middle, and I have a big clam in front, and I couldn't get any light out to it, so I had to put T5s in the front to get more par in the front. Once I put the
Yeah.
skies in, I haven't had to touch the T5s. It's just a bigger panel.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the same can be
Yeah,
said
yeah,
about a
definitely.
G5. The same can be said about a Philips Coral Care and all these other lights that are out there. Um, so like you said, if you have a broken light and you're upgrading, then yeah, look at the Sky. If you're if you have really ghetto old school lights like G1s or G2s and you want to upgrade, yeah, maybe look at the Sky. Um, but you know, anyway, I'm not gonna talk about the Sky too much because it seems to be a ongoing thing on my channel. Manny's
Hot
Reef.
topics: salt and skies.
Yeah, I know, right? How's my store holding up? My store is still there. Manny, if you need
Excellent,
stuff,
excellent.
man, I got a lot of stuff. So, Bobby, I do not have the G4s. I sold them. I didn't give them to Aaron like I give everything else to. Not this Aaron, the other Aaron.
Other Aaron.
Even though I have given you stuff too, but you've also given me stuff.
Yeah.
It's a bartering system between me and you, and the other guy's a moocher. So,
Yeah.
um, let's see. Man, your dog is that's a puppy, isn't it? That's why.
No, he's a year old now. He
Oh,
just wanted to come up and say hi. He's been jumping up here.
let's see. I run my skies at
Did
70% during the peak of day. How high are you going? Sammy, I have mine set to 80%. I have a lot of SPS, so I love giving that a lot of light. So let's see. Never owned a 30. You never owned a 30, really?
No, I always had 15s.
Is it
I
because
always liked
of?
the idea of being able
I
to
only have
space out the
15s
pucks.
too. For me.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like you had two 30s on your old tank. If you had four 15s all spaced out evenly, you would have a much bigger blanket of light, right?
That's true. I
That's
guess.
why I like
Yep.
15s.
I guess because you have a
Because two 15s are
badass.
basically the price of a 30.
You have a badass rail system. Unfortunately, I'm not as mechanically inclined as you, so having two 30s is easier to mount for me.
I have how-to videos on that. Thank you. You could do it.
Gary Kumbo's asking any tips on using Calcwasser. Gary, there are tons of videos online on how to use Calcwasser. I have a video
Start
on how
slow.
I do Calcwasser. I don't really
I
have an
would
answer
invest in a
specifically.
calc I would invest in a calc stir and ideally a continuous duty pump.
Exactly.
Yep. And start very slow. Don't
Yes.
try to make up numbers. Don't try to make up numbers.
And another tip, I guess, Gary, is always have a pH probe on your tank when you're using Calcwasser. You do not want that thing to uh, over over
Leak your
drip.
tank.
I don't know. I don't know what the word is. This is why I
Yeah,
don't do
I'm not a
late
fan of
streams because I can't think.
streams. The brain is already checked out for the day. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm not a fan of putting them into an ATO. One big reason, if you do a water change, you sell a frag, you take out a big chunk of
Yep.
water, your ATO is going to replace it, and that's going to dump in a ton of calc and spike up your elk, which could cause lots of trouble with your tank. That's
And
why I'm a
your
big fan.
Yes, we do.
evaporation rate changes all day. So you can't. It's so hard to get it perfect because one day your evaporation will be different. So you'll keep getting different values for your calcium and alkalinity, and it's like just drip the same amount every
Right.
day, so it's constant. Like I said, Gary,
Yeah, here in
I have
Florida,
a good
I
video on
evaporate
it,
all.
so you can take a look at my video on how I did it. Deven has a ton. How many Calcwasser videos you have? I remember I've already seen a ton of them. I
At
know.
least 3.
Yeah, you have at least 3. There we go.
Maybe more. I made it, yeah.
Recently started dosing All for Reef. I think All for Reef is a great product. I do
For
think
small tanks.
TJ, you're gonna if it's a like he just said, if you have a big tank, you're gonna be going through that stuff real fast.
They have the DIY powder version though, which will make up for a bigger tank.
That's what he's using. He said the powdered in his comment.
Okay.
Gary, I would not use a dose with your Kalkwasser. I just you're gonna need to drip it, so you're gonna want a continuous duty pump. I know people that have used doses to put them on intervals, and again, you're risking that spike. You're risking if you dose, every other minute or something. There's a potential that it could overdose. I just recommend always doing 24/7 dripping. That's what I've always done with calc. Um, Apparently, you need a new office chair, Deven.
This one's Kill a Bee. It's quite comfy. Got this for Christmas last year, or maybe the year before. Yeah, pretty good. Has a little pillow that goes on there if you want it. Reclines.
I
Typical
have.
racing style chair.
I think I've said this to people before on my stream, but my chair is ridiculous. I have a
Why?
special chair for my back because I have back issues. My chair is a $2,000 chair. Two, yeah,
Damn.
it's a
Mine's like
special
200.
chair for my back.
Wow. I thought mine was expensive.
Yeah. If you guys want my chair,
Jeez.
it's steel case. No, steel. It's steel something. It's not steel case. It's steel something else.
Steel
And you,
series, like the fancy headphones.
no, it's steel case. Steel case.
No,
And look up the chairs. They're specially made for people with back problems. Yeah, I think if you can have insurance pay for them. Rogue Gaming says Herman Miller. I don't know who that is.
that they make fancy chairs too. Two
Oh,
grand for a chair? You crazy man?
hey, I work at home, man. Or
Yeah,
you do too, sort of. I work in front of a computer all day.
yeah.
I'm a computer programmer, so I have to have a comfortable chair that's not going to screw up my back.
I see
Do the same.
TJA is saying that he's interested in trying to do no water change thing. Um, just one thing to be cautious of that. Make sure you set your rock up right from the time you begin. If it's not, then you may run into issues 3 or 4 months down the road. And especially if you're using something like Alpha Reef, make sure you're doing ICPs often in the beginning so you know exactly what your tank's getting. My tank's 8 months old. It's never had a water change. But I muriatic acid washed my rocks, so I knew what bacteria was in those rocks, and I knew there was nothing extra in there that I didn't want to. As the alkalinity breaks down the rock that goes in, you don't want certain things to go in your tank that you're not prepared for. My nutrients stay just ridiculously low, so I feed tons of food. That's the only problem I have in my tank right now.
So I think Deven does what I do. I do automatic water changes, and I've been doing that for a while. Um, I'm only, you know what, Aaron? I do it because I believe that the trace elements possibly in my tank are not there with using a calcium reactor. So I have found that just
Yeah,
doing it makes me just feel better inside, whether or not it's actually doing what I believe it is, which is giving it trace
yeah.
elements because it's automatically doing water changes all day long and replenishing the trace elements. Obviously, I still use Miracle Mud also, which is supposed to give you trace elements as well. Um,
It'll help stabilize them. Yeah.
and then
No, the
again, I
biggest thing
switched from
with
Aquaforest, so
You know
yeah,
what?
Aquaforce,
On that
my
note,
ICPs have all come out perfect.
yeah.
so it makes me funny because one of you's like, "Yeah, Aquaforce," and I was like, "Yeah, Miracle Bud." After my stream the other week with the Aquamaxx guys, I added a bag of Miracle Bud and a bag of the Aquaforce mud to my tank, so I added them both.
Oh,
Variety spice of
nice.
life. Why discriminate?
So Devin, so
I was just
I don't know
laughing.
if
You're
I
like
ever
this one. You're
updated
like this one. I'm
Devin, but
like both.
yeah, Devin, I started my take eight months ago when I started with Miracle Mud and I started with
Yeah.
Aquaforce 123 Plus. I started dosing like week 2. Really low dose because I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't using anything. I had Coraline at 1 month, but now my tank's 8 months
Yeah.
old and I have that original water in that tank. And I mean, I've got acros
Nice.
growing in there like weeds right now. So, I mean, I'm not a
Beauty.
proponent for everyone to try to do a no water change system. And I hadn't planned on it with this one. I just set it up in the beginning. Again, muriatic acid washed my rocks, and I did a write up on Humblefish on how I cycled it. But with the proper
Mm-hmm.
cycle, it can be done, but it is a really tight ecosystem that it's really hard to achieve.
You know, when I first met
Well,
you, Aaron, a couple years ago, you turned me on to Aquaforest 123. I used to have a terrible calcium reactor. That's before I had the other terrible calcium reactor. This was what, 3 or 4 years ago. And you said do Aquaforest 123, right? Um, I think I had a reef octopus that kept getting clogged like every 2 seconds, and I hated it. And I was like, "You're like, just do Aquaforest dosing." I'm like, "All right, whatever." Once I started doing Aquaforest dosing, I never worried about trace elements. I never worried about a water changes after that, you know. And then of course I switched back to a calcium reactor and then got rid of that. So now I'm doing automatic water changes.
why did you swap? How do you like dosing versus custom reactor?
I love it. I know Aaron
Yeah.
is against it, but I love it. I don't know if
Oh,
he's
I'm not
against
against
it.
it.
Yeah.
I like knowing exactly what I'm doing. And my problem is my house is small. I got 300 gallons right now in my system.
Mhm.
And a calcium reactor in my house, just the way it's set up, well, my frag tank's sitting in a closet. So my pH is my issue. So, and I've
Yeah.
never had any issues. Although I do dose 280 milliliters a day of each part, I, I'd make it out of the dry bulk. So it's fairly inexpensive. but it's just been so reliable.
Mm-hmm. Hey, the Kalkwasser, that's how I got my pH up. I mean, that's how I got it up.
Yep. I'm getting ready to add that right now. I've got a calc stirrer in there right
Good.
now. I'm getting ready to
That'll
switch
do
and
it.
start adding it.
That'll do it. To that point, Billy D asked, my pH stays between 8.4 and 8.5. And he's saying, is it too high and get it down? It's a little high, but it's not going to really. I think it would actually help your coral more than. I mean, 8.5 isn't terrible, right?
It's
I mean, it's
getting
high.
really close to the line of 8.6. 8.6 is where you start seeing a adverse reaction in the tank. Is he dosing Kalkwasser that's causing it to get that high? If
I don't
so, I would
know.
supplement with
That's
something
high.
else other than calc. Yep, that's
Yeah.
getting a little high. I like 8.4.
Yeah, 8.4 I think is fine. Yeah, I don't know how you're getting it that high, Billy. I will tell you what will get that down right away, a calcium reactor. That'll get it down without a problem. Let's see. Okay, here's a good one. Marcus Herrera said, isn't that miracle mud supposed to be in your refugium? I'm curious about it. My new tank is 4 weeks old. I'm getting ready to add fish and thinking of setting up my fuge. So how I do miracle mud
Yeah,
is I put it in these little plastic containers that you can get it in,
tub.
and then tubs. That's right. And I put the tubs inside the refugium. It makes it so much easier to replace it because you're supposed to replace it once a year. So,
Question: why do you have to replace it?
so from their directions, and didn't you have them on? You said from
I know.
from
Yeah,
the
I just want to know
direction.
what your reasoning.
Oh, all right. Oh, he's quizzing me, guys. Look at this. On my own stream.
Yeah.
Because the trace elements
Mm-hmm.
they get released.
Depleted.
So depleted. That's
They
right.
deplete.
Why are you making me do vocabulary at late at night? This is driving me crazy.
It's okay. I'm helping you fill in the blanks. It's okay. Okay, no, that's fair. If you're using it mainly for trace elements, okay.
Yeah. So they say it
So,
gets
because I
depleted,
was
and you're
thinking about
supposed to
this.
replace 50% every year. That's what they say on the directions.
Okay, just checking.
What's your question or what's your curiosity?
Nothing. That's all. I just want to know. No, I know.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you.
Yeah. But anyway,
I understand the logic.
I will tell you again, that's another Aaron special. Aaron told me to start using Miracle Mud. Um, and they say it's Miracle Mud because it's a miracle. And I can tell you guys, I put it in my tank. My phosphates and nitrates leveled off. They were in balance all of a sudden, finally. Um, Everything started looking great. They say that it's supposed to cure HLLE. Um, I think
Due to
it
the
kind of
iron.
I think it kind of did. I mean, I did have a yellow tang that had a little bit of it, and it started to pretty much go away. Is it due to the miracles to say, right? Yes, Marcus, you should put them in the small tubs in your fuge. That's correct. Um, they sell the
The
2 pound
the
bag
first
that
time I
comes with the
used it, I
tubs.
did. Mm. When I used it in the past, I did it in pretty little acrylic trays, and then this time I just dumped it in.
Well, dumping it in is also fine, but it makes it much more difficult to remove when you have to replace it. Marcus,
I was thinking about that.
yeah, Marcus, go ahead and look online when you buy the Miracle Mud. They sell this kit. I think it's a 2 pound kit, and it comes with the tray. So what were you saying? I'm sorry. Something about
That's okay.
throwing Miracle Mud and making a mess.
Yeah, you can just use a water change hose and suck it out too. I mean, it's not that bad to get it out.
That's true. You're right. Has any of this
But
been
anyways, that's what I
tested?
figure I'll do eventually.
Yes, JCS. It absolutely. I do an ICP about every quarter, um, and I see stable results. Is it due to everything that I'm doing? It's got to be. I mean, every little bit helps, right? I'm doing the Miracle Mod. I'm doing the auto water change. Um, is it? is it contributing to the stability of my tank? Is it the water changes or the miracle mud and all this other stuff I'm doing? It's hard to pinpoint specifically what it's doing. But as all reefers say, stability is key, right? So whatever I'm doing is working, so I'm just going to keep doing it. Um, Gary, you can use Kalkwasser with any supplementation, such as All for Reef. There goes the camera. It's really meant for people that are experiencing pH or wanting to raise their pH, I found, or have small tanks that, like 10, 20 gallon tanks that they just need supplementation. Kalkwasser is perfect for that. JCS, I don't think I saw a difference. Go ahead.
Oh, Kalkwasser can actually go quite a long way if you have a decent sized reactor. Like I was thoroughly impressed with how long I ran my frag tank with that big ass ice cap reactor. Like that thing went a long way before I added anything onto it. Like I was very impressed. So if you have a decent sized reactor, Kalkwasser can take you pretty far.
Yeah, I have I have a Geo's Kalkwasser stir. I love it to death. But like you just said, I put a cup in every 6 months. I mean, if that.
That's it?
Yeah. I'm dripping. I'm dripping 3 milliliters. What is it? A minute? 3 milliliters a minute? Yeah. That's right. 3 milliliters a minute.
Wow.
So, man, Gary's got the questions. I wish we had more like Gary every time on Earth. He's got all kinds of questions.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary. I appreciate it. I know I was joking, but I appreciate it. I really do. I need more people to ask questions on my streams.
What do you think about Instant Ocean salt or ESV salt to start with? ESV salt is far superior salt. Instant Ocean is plentiful and cheap. Start your tank with Instant Ocean. When you get corals, if you want to get ESV and get fancy, then I'd swap to that later on. But for just starting out, just start with Instant Ocean. Don't worry about fancy salt until you start getting corals and other stuff, and then it will matter more. Yeah. But your rock won't care.
Yeah, I think that's a great advice from Deven, especially if you're a new reefer. I don't know if you are, Gary, but especially in a new tank, just get it going, get the stability going, and then worry about salt. A year down the road, even. How does
People always worry about changing salts and how to change salts? Just start doing water change with new salt. That's it. No magic to it. Nothing fancy.
I know.
Nothing's gonna happen. I see so many posts about how do you change salt. Just start using the new one. That's it. That's all you gotta do.
Right. It's just salt. I mean,
fresh and squeezy.
How does calc raise alk when using? Producer Reef, I'm not. Calc will always raise alk.
Yes, it will. You just got to dose a bit less or whatever else you're dosing to compensate it. But if you're doing it with a continuous dosing pump on a continuous drip, it's going to be consistent. So it's not going to be like a big swing thing. That's why I recommend that method.
And JCF Reefing had mentioned most public aquariums use Instant Ocean. I don't know, but I can tell you from, again, more of an advanced answer, is really the salt comes down to if you have corals. I mean, if you just have fish, you can use whatever the heck salt you want. It's not going to matter. Really, that just comes down to your corals and where you keep your levels in your tank when you have corals. When I used to have fish tanks as a kid, and even when I got older and I just had fish, I would get Instant Ocean or get whatever the heck salt they had at the store, because it doesn't matter with fish. But when you get into corals,
Instant Ocean Reef Crystal is still the most widely sold salt there is, though. It's been around for a long time. I mean, 30 years ago, I was using it.
Right. So, again, like we mentioned earlier, Gary, I use Tropic Marin because it is where my levels are in my tank. So that's why I use it. Also, I will say one more thing about salt before Deven kills me. I keep large vats of salt water. So, because I do that, certain salts will create this gunk in these huge vats of salt water. Tropic Marin does not, and I've tested multiple salts. And Red Sea, for instance, you put Red Sea in that vat of salt, you're gonna get this brown crap everywhere. So, you know.
When I used to do water changes, I love that brown crap because my tank ate it up. But I'm not
Well,
storing water. Whenever I made it right before I changed. So the organics actually feed all your coral and things in there.
yeah.
Just makes your bins look nasty.
How many milliliters of two-part dosing per day would make you consider calcium reactor? That's a really good question, Lee. It came down to financials for me. I mean, it came down to cost. You know, I was buying up that aquaforest all the time. You know, I was dosing like 180 milliliters a day on my tank. You know,
That's nothing.
And that was costing me money. I was like, I'll just get a calcium reactor, right? So I think it just comes down to price and ease of use, you know, to switch. That's my opinion.
Whenever you feel your two-part is getting expensive, that's
right.
the point. We should think about it. And if you're not struggling with pH already.
True. I am looking at some of these questions. And then they keep your salt in motion. I do keep my salt in motion, Bobby. I have a power head at the bottom of my salt bin, and it's constantly mixing it all the time.
The motion in the mixing bin.
Anyway, we're at about an hour. You know, it's late for a lot of people, so we're gonna close up shop here. We'll just take a look and see if we get any last minute questions, but we'll run this contest even though only 17 people entered. So I will be giving away.
Football game on tonight.
I guess I shouldn't say anything. I'll get in trouble. I'm okay with the Eagles, but the other team I'm not so okay with. But anyway, we got 17 people. We're going to be giving away 2 Aquamaxx Sigma 2 media reactors. If you're not familiar with them, they are self-containing. You don't need a pump. They're similar to the Nios torque reactor, so you can actually it goes in your sump and it blah 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 blah. You can look them up. I have 2 of them. I used them. I used them for I don't know 5 months, and I ended up changing them. I just didn't need them anymore, so they're used. They're coming from me. So anyway, we'll get that contest going, and we'll see who the winners are. Apparently, the 2 guys that are on here are also entered, so it's really not a lot of people entered it. All right, let's see. Here we go. So our first winner of today's contest is TJ. TJ, you are in Arizona. You can come pick it up. I don't have to ship it to you. TJ, are you still here, sir? You have to be here to win. We both win. And the second winner of today is Mr. Philly Reefer. Dude, this guy has won so much stuff for me. He's won probably 4 contests. What the heck, man? I love you, Philly Reefer. Hey, you know, you come to the streams, you come often, you win. Like that's just how it works. And you know what's really funny about this? You guys are gonna get a kick out of this. Guess what Philly Reefer won from me last time? A Nios torque reactor. I'm not even joking.
He's a reactor man now. What he's gonna put in all these reactors?
I don't know where he's gonna put them. Yeah, see, he won the Nios torque reactor. Oh, that's awesome.
Hey.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming on late. in the comments in this video, guys, let me know how you feel about these late Monday night streams. You know, we switched from Saturday mornings. Still getting used to it, so I just want to see how people are enjoying it, and if they want me to switch it back or maybe a different day. We should do it on Wednesday at like 4 o'clock. That would probably be the best time, don't you think, Deven? No? All right.
I'd steal your people. I'm sorry. I was just going to comment on how I had a lovely time this evening, and then you're just trying to like screw with my stream. Like, what the heck?
Your stream?
Anyway, I think earlier is better. Another hour or two earlier would probably be better. But
yeah, you know, a lot of people wanted 7, so I picked 7, but maybe an hour earlier might be better. So next week, guys, we have the great Greg Carroll coming on. I've never met him or spoke to him personally, so this should be interesting. We're going to talk about hydros, I believe. And also, with that being said, I am doing a new video. I'm working on it tomorrow. It should be ready by tomorrow, and it's going to be a hydros versus Apex video. So I'm sure it's going to get a lot of fun comments. I'm excited, but it should be fun.
When is it? Should I join for fun? I have both.
You have all 3. You have all 3.
I do.
Well, I have all 3 too, but I don't use one of them. And then
I use them all.
Eventually, when I decide to sit down and actually do it, the Georgia Aquarium, I have a huge video for that. I'm not as cool as Deven and just be able to do these videos, you know. I have a life and a job. Unfortunately, he's better at editing video and has no life, so I'll tell you. Oh, he's not even listening. Good.
I do have no life. It's true. I do have no life. It's true.
Who is the other dude in ReefDudes? That's a great question, Lee. That is like the best question.
Multiple personalities.
Why hasn't anyone ever asked that question?
I've been asked that so many times. I have a really creative idea for a video.
You've been asked that question?
Time, which I lack. Oh, tons.
Oh, really?
Tons.
I didn't know that.
I actually have a really good idea, but it requires some really hardcore video editing to have 2 of me in it one day.
That would be awesome, man. Well, remember I did that video when Aaron took over my stream. I don't know if you ever saw that. And that was some editing magic.
Excellent.
And this week I'm going to possibly go to Reefapalooza Chicago. So I'm excited to do that. It would be awesome if you came, Deven. It'd be great to see you. But I know it's hard for a lot of people to get out and spend money right now. I don't know if I'll be able to go, but if I do, I will make a video, and I'm excited because it'll be my first show I've ever been to since I started my YouTube channel. So it'll be really exciting for sure. All right, guys, it's getting late. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate having you both on, the 2 experts in the field of reefing. So
thank you for inviting me to your lovely evening live stream.
Yes. Thank you. Congratulations to the winner. Oh my god. Congratulations to the winners. I hope you have a wonderful night and week, and I'll see you guys next week.
Happy